My boyfriend's entitled mother is gaslighting and guilt-tripping all of us just so she can have a free place to stay in our home. But after countless days of dealing with her lies and all of her garbage, we've decided that enough is enough, and she is now being ordered to get out of our home. And I'm honestly so blown away by her entitlement. Here's what happened. I've lived with my boyfriend, his brother, and his brother's girlfriend ever since they were evicted from my boyfriend's mother's house. And this was a few years ago. Before she was evicted, she made a deal with her employers to turn her big house owned by her father into a senior living facility. She stopped working as much while spending almost all her money in secret. Her employers ended up letting her go and getting them all evicted. And now there is a lawsuit involved. Her and her father stayed in hotel rooms together. Her daughter, who was still a minor, had to go live with her father. Now, for some additional context, my boyfriend's mother spent so much of her then husband's money that she ended up leaving him a lot of debt. They divorced, and she has always continued to talk garbage about him in general and as a parent to literally everyone, including me and her kids. She had most of the custody, so she collected a lot of child support, which was not always spent on the kids. She even tried to continue to collect child support from him for my boyfriend once he turned 18. After a bit of their mom staying with their father in hotel rooms, as well as running out of money, she begged us to let them both come stay with us rent-free. My boyfriend's brother and his girlfriend were very hesitant to allow this because she has lied to my boyfriend's brother about money situations so much in the past. We all still agreed to give them a place to stay while she got her stuff back together. Our only condition was that she had to get a job as soon as possible. She ended up going back and forth on if she was getting a job or not, but in the end she completely refused, so we told her that they had to go. They went back to staying in hotel rooms together. Her father is old and showing signs of dementia, and she doesn't handle it the best. She ends up telling us that she cannot handle taking care of him, and she ends up arranging for him to fly back to his home country to live there with other family members that can take care of him. She continues to be jobless, staying in hotels by herself for a while, and ends up meeting this other guy who is also homeless, and this homeless guy is in his 30s. They ended up staying together in hotels and splitting the cost of the rooms, the food, as well as cigarettes and the herb, if you know what I mean. And at one point she ends up getting a job, but ends up quitting because she didn't like it, all without having any kind of backup plan. She continues to be jobless for the whole rest of the time with this guy, and even purchases cats and dogs, claiming that she can't work because she has to take care of them. This goes on for a while, and she starts telling us how rude and verbally awful he is, and how she cannot live there anymore, or she will probably no longer be alive, if you know what I mean. She begs us again if she can move in rent-free, gaslighting and guilt-tripping the entire time. We have an in-person meeting with her to tell her yes, she can stay with us, but only under our conditions. She will have to get a job before even moving in, and she will not smoke cigarettes because we rent, and our place is non-smoking. And she almost caught our last house on fire smoking cigarettes in the backyard, and she will be completely transparent about money and all of that. And she will not have any pets. She starts saying she would rather stay with him if she can't bring her dog, gaslighting us that she will just have to go back to the emotionally awful place. Finally, we tell her that you can bring the one small dog, and only if you potty train her to go outside instead of on our carpet. She did not have a job the day she came, claiming she will be applying like crazy to get one as soon as possible. So we let it slide, telling her that she'd better have one in a month. She starts spending all of her free time decorating the house with ugly and trashy decorations, and it's all stuff that no one wants up. She started doing arts and crafts. She started sewing using our supplies, as well as tanning, offering to do things like rearranging our whole bedroom, etc., not really taking any time to get her stuff together, and applying to get a job. But still, she continues to ask for money for random things, such as wigs, sewing supplies, more money so she can vape or buy the herb. She even again goes back and forth, saying she will get a job and then just completely refusing to do so. She even had one lined up and quit the day before she was supposed to start for literally no reason. We tell her again she can't live with us if she won't, so she finally starts to put in the time applying like crazy. She finally got a job after 2 months, but is barely being scheduled any hours at minimum wage. She isn't even close to taking home $1,000 a month, but instead continues to ask us to buy her stuff while she spends her money on random craft supplies while still buying the herb and vapes. She then asked me if she should still keep applying to other places, as they're not scheduling her very much at all, and I say to her, yes, but of course my advice is not taken. The whole time she has been causing arguments in the group chat with all of us, us, and this is all over random things, like her assuming that I was mad at her for laying down over a door closing a little too loud. She had also lied about smoking cigarettes in the house. She has barely tried to potty train her dog. She says rude, horribly racist and homophobic things constantly, as well as making transphobic comments. She's trying to boss us around in our house. She lies about legal problems and how much money she has and makes. She took some of our groceries without asking. She has broken things, and when asked about it, she just ignored us and did not apologize. She also acted entitled to our belongings, as well as so many other problems. Also, she continued telling us the entire time that living with us sucked, stating that we're awful for having these rules for her, and that she has somewhere else better that she could stay, where she will actually get more help. And it's not like we can just have a mature conversation with her when a problem arises, because in her eyes, she is never wrong. She is completely entitled to her son's money, as well as all of his things, and on top of that, she's entitled to being taken care of and having things bought for her. She can never admit when she is wrong, and instead she takes it as a personal attack and just gets angry with us, shutting us down without ever understanding our side, or even trying to apologize. Now, after the last fight that she started, we told her that she has a month to figure out where she is going, because she can no longer stay with us. We are so over it. There are 21 days left, and yes, I am using a countdown because I am that excited to have the house to ourselves again. We will see how hard she starts to gaslight us and guilt trip us when it gets closer to the day she's gotta leave, because you can bet she's not going to want to leave. But this lady will no longer be on our shoulders. Hopefully, this will be her wake-up call, and she will finally be able to start taking getting her stuff together and being able to provide for herself a lot more seriously. Yeah, this lady is absolutely entitled. She is seriously just using you and your boyfriend and his brother. Like seriously, she can't do anything for herself. First of all, there's no excuse for her not getting a job. She could easily get something and make some kind of money, because in my opinion, in this situation, something is better than nothing. Sure, she's gonna get a job that probably sucks, and it's probably like something in customer service, but you know what? It's better than not being able to make rent, or at least like pay for your bills and stuff like that. Like seriously, you need to work. But this lady didn't want to work. She wanted to stay at home and play with wigs and start sewing all the time. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not going to become a business overnight. And the original poster has it right. This entitled lady absolutely needs a wake-up call. She has clearly been using her kids to get by her entire life. She has not done anything to better herself or improve her situation, and that is entirely her own fault. So good for you and your boyfriend for deciding to get her out of here. The way she's acting is incredibly inappropriate, and honestly, everything wrong in her life is quite literally her own problem. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to AmITheJerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for selling our house without informing my wife first? Here's what happened. My wife and I have been married for many years, but before we got married, I had built up a substantial wealth. When we got married, I opted for a prenuptial agreement and complete separation of assets. She also had a significant premarital wealth. Besides the house that we currently live in, I still own a beautiful apartment in the same city that I usually rent out, but it's currently vacant. Over the past 2 years, we've had many discussions about moving to a smaller town and getting a house near the beach. And 2 months ago, we bought the house for our upcoming move. We've already made the renovations we wanted, we've bought furniture, and we will be moving into the new house very soon. Since we won't be living in this city anymore, I didn't see a reason to keep the house that we're currently living in, and so I sold it without notifying my wife. Now, considering that it's solely my asset, I didn't see the need to inform her in advance. Plus, selling and buying property is always a stressful process. On the day I finalized the sale, I told her that I had sold the house, and she was furious with me for not letting her know. She mentioned that she still needs a residence in this city and intends on coming back here frequently. I explained to her that we still have the apartment, which we can use whenever we need to be in the city, so there honestly really shouldn't be an issue. But she remains upset with me, claiming that I didn't treat her like a wife by not involving her in such an important decision. On the other hand, I believe I didn't leave her without an address in the city, and the house was always exclusively my asset, just as she has her own wealth. She argues that it's a completely different situation because it's the house that we've been living in, and we are moving in the next few days. So am I the jerk for selling our house without informing my wife? What should I do? Honestly, I think your wife has a point. Like, sure, it's your house and it's under your name, but guess what? She still lived in it. So the fact that you up and sold it without even talking to her first, that in my opinion, is incredibly rude. Wouldn't you want to discuss this first just so she can be in the loop? By not telling her, you literally treated your wife like a roommate. It kind of feels like you just pulled the rug out from underneath her, and you made a decision for the both of them by selling that house. And again, sure, it is your house and logistically you did the right thing, but let's look at this practically. Why would you not have the common courtesy of just telling her exactly what you planned on doing? Instead, you almost like kept it a secret and said, by the way, I'm selling the house. I don't know, to me it just seems like a really big scumbag thing to do, and it kind of like throws a wrench in the wheel. I know if I lived in that house for a while, I would get attached to it and have some kind of sentimental value associated with it. I mean, you have to communicate with your wife and tell her what's going on. So yes, in my opinion, I think you're definitely the jerk in this situation. I think you really should have discussed this with your wife ahead of time, because honestly, the way you went about doing this was incredibly rude. An entitled mom is changing and messing with all the rules and regulations of the apartment complex that I live in. And she is so frustrating and annoying to deal with, I'm now at a loss and I seriously don't know what to do. To start things out, honestly, I just need to vent. There's a very annoying entitled mom that I'm dealing with, and honestly, I just need to get this off my chest. So anyways, I live in a rental. We have a shared garden, a laundry room, as well as other amenities. It's a mix of rentals and owned apartments, and most residents, including myself, have lived here for several years. So that's to say that you generally know who comes and goes around here. Over the summer, this lady has started coming and going all over the property. It's the mom of a newer resident, who actually seems nice enough, but this mom is entitled in a slightly different way, and she has slowly begun taking over all the shared spaces of our building. These are just a few of the examples that we currently are dealing with. For starters, the entitled mother leaves passive-aggressive notes when she's dissatisfied with something. For example, she'll be like, "This machine is broken, who's gonna fix it?" And she puts this on the washing machine, despite the fact that there's a manual next to the machine that clearly states a number that you need to call if you want it fixed. Then she'll say something like, "Can we all maybe remember to empty the lint collector in the dryer? It's not that hard." And then she will just get up and leave and not empty the lint collector herself. She often wants a specific resident to deal with it, but doesn't address him through anything other than notes. And this guy is in no way a janitor of any kind. The entitled mother also opens all the doors and windows in the basement and refuses to close any of them. A passive-aggressive note informed me it's because the basement is too humid. Now here's the thing, I can understand if you're going to be in the area and need to have access to the basement, but she just opens everything and then leaves. If you go to close them, she will go back down, open them again, and then leave again. I came down the other day, and not only was everything open, but the shared laundry room keys were on the outside of the door, and she was nowhere to be found. This is not a low-crime area, and she's putting us all at risk to be robbed in a way where insurance won't cover anything. This is also kind of triggering for me, as I was subjected to arson in a previous housing situation due to this exact behavior. She also had a phase where she'd prop open the front doors and all the fire doors as well, but that has thankfully and fortunately not stuck around. We have a really nice shared apple tree in the garden, and the apples are plenty and delicious. It's a situation where you take exactly what you need. A neighbor of mine went to grab an apple for herself and her kid, and immediately the entitled mother flings open her window and says, "Don't take those aren't ripe yet." The neighbor was like, "Well, I'll take my chances, but thanks." The entitled mother then huffs and puffs and says, "Suit yourself, but you're gonna have a bad time." Like, what kind of person has apple entitlement? I honestly just don't get it. She also decided that the laundry booking system was bad and decided to implement her own system. Before, you just booked the laundry room and you'd have it available in the book time slots. With this new system, you've got to book the individual machine in the individual hours that you plan to use each machine. Now, of course, the new system has a passive-aggressive note attached to it, and the first time I booked time slots, she actually deleted them. Not because she wanted to use the slot for herself, but she did that only because I had done it wrong. And honestly, I was so angry when she did this. We also have a no loose dogs in the shared garden rule, and it's mostly to avoid random dogs taking a dump anywhere they want. But it's not the only reason that we have this. This entitled mother does not care. Her daughter's chihuahua is constantly off the leash and running everywhere. In fact, the other night, I heard it try to attack a cat. A few weeks ago, my kitchen started smelling really weird, like a chemical, and it was really toxic. The smell kept getting stronger, and I could not figure out where it was coming from. I went to the basement, and some areas were also very pungent. I asked a neighbor if he knew where the smell was coming from, and he helped me search for the source. It turns out that the entitled mother had been soaking some wooden fence posts in paint thinner and thought that it was a great idea to leave them to dry in the tool closet closet right below my kitchen, sending all those nice toxic fumes right up through the vents. Thankfully, my neighbor got this entitled mother to move them all. Now, I want to reiterate, this lady does not live here. The daughter has a really busy job, so the entitled mother is around a lot. I suspect that she's there just to take care of the dogs, and evidently also to take care of the daughter's laundry. Because of this, she feels entitled to micromanage all the shared space. Several other residents are really sick of her antics, and she has been confronted at least once by the janitor man's mom, who also owns a rental in the building. I just needed to get this off my chest because I have no idea how to address this, and honestly, I really don't know what to do. Wow, that sounds absolutely obnoxious. I'm pretty sure that I would lose my mind if I had someone like that walking around my apartment complex, doing all sorts of stuff at the expense of literally everyone around them. Like, there's no way I'm gonna put up with that for a second. People like that seriously need to get a life and go away. It's mind-blowing to me that this person doesn't even live here, and they're trying to change everything about this apartment complex. I mean, for me personally, the final straw, in my opinion, would be her deleting my time slot to wash my clothes. I would lose my mind. There's no way I would put up with that for a second. So honestly, I'm kind of surprised that the original poster, as well as several other neighbors, haven't gone together and maybe made like a signature packet and given it to the landlord or the person that owns the building, explaining to them, hey, this lady's bothering all of us, and these are the things that she's done, and these are the people that don't want her around anymore. As if you want to take like a strength in numbers kind of situation. Because this lady sounds crazy. There's no way I would want to put up with that. Like, I would absolutely start complaining, as well as taking pictures and getting recordings of all the stupid stuff she's doing. Because seriously, her behavior is absolutely uncalled for. And if I was in your shoes, I absolutely would do something to make her stop. This next one came from the Am I the Jerk podcast subreddit. Check the links in the description if you would like to submit your own story. Am I the jerk for being angry at my girlfriend after she's become very distant and very standoffish all of a sudden? Because now at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So me and my girlfriend are now dating for a little over a year and a half. For a big part of the time of our relationship, we had only a few arguments, but nothing serious. Even when we had only a little time, we at least texted or called. We also tried to find solution to some problem or find some kind of compromise between the two of us. But for the last 4 months, she started to give more attention to her Instagram profile, where she's giving information about herbs and dreams and stuff like that. She's also doing this in our birth language, so even with my help, it's not getting much attention. It's her choice and her hobby, but it seems like she's prioritizing it and not texting or even answering my text messages, but making posts and stories about it. When we have sleepovers or just meetups, she's giving at least half the time to her Instagram profile. But when I address this, she gets angry and annoyed at me, just because I want a little more attention. But that's only one problem. What became our tradition is that when there's a special occasion, like an anniversary or Valentine's Day or anything like that, we both ask each other, what is your wish? So when our anniversary of 1.5 years came close, I asked her the question, what is your wish? She told me her wish and then nothing else. She didn't even ask me the same question. Now, I tried to give her some kind of hint, but she didn't get any of my hints. So when asked what the hint meant, I told her, and it was only then that she asked me the question. And then there was a problem to her about my wish. And I mean, I get that, but she never tried to find at least some kind of compromise. She never asked if there was something different that I might want, because if she did ask me, I would at least answer with a wish that I know wouldn't be a problem. The moment where I think I might be a jerk happened about 2 days ago. We were out and there was an argument between me and my father about my girlfriend sleeping at our house. She then suddenly chose that she wants to sleep at her house, even though we had the sleepover planned for some time. Again, she didn't try to find some kind of compromise, where, for example, I could sleep at her house instead of her sleeping at my house or something like that. So when my uncle drove us to her house, I was more distant towards her, letting her lay on my lap but not hugging her or kissing her or anything like that. When we were next to her house, I just said goodbye to her. Later, she texted asking why I was acting that way. I texted her about the sleepover, and we both ended up getting angry at each other. It's better now, but I think I may have been a jerk by acting distant. So I have to ask, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Honestly, it kind of seems like you guys just don't talk about things going on. Like, everything in this post had like a lot of assumptions about how she's feeling, as well as like what you think is going on, without straight up asking her, hey, what's going on here? Like, for example, if my girlfriend had a hobby and she was posting stuff on Instagram or something like that, and it was really occupying a lot of her time, and I felt like she wasn't giving any time to me, I would definitely talk to her and try and work through it. And the same thing goes for like the whole wish standoffish situation. Like maybe being more upfront and tell her exactly how you feel about that. Like maybe explain, hey, this is really special to me. I want this to be a special occasion for the two of us. Let's try and find something that both of us can enjoy and make each other's anniversary a little bit better. Or some kind of like further explanation. Dropping hints or subtle cues, in my opinion, is not effective. And in some cases, you just need to be upfront. And that includes acting distant and refusing to talk to her. Like, I don't know about you, but the cold shoulder never solves anything. If anything, it just kind of makes things a little bit worse. So hopefully this can all get worked out with some like proper communication between the two of you, because it kind of seems like you guys just don't talk about stuff. And that, in my opinion, could probably solve a lot of your problems. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some vibey music to put on in the background, check out easymode. If you like Am I the Jerk, check out Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked in the description.